Hey, so I'm off to the coast today. Come join me on that journey. Today I'm going to head to a little English seaside town called Shoreham-by-Sea. Expecting it to be slightly windy, it's overcast already, might get rained on, but let's see what the little town has to offer. It's only 1 hour outside London. Okay, so I'm on the train. One of the rules about riding the trains these days, you gotta wear a face mask. What I tend to do is I have basically a neckerchief, bandana, some might call it, or a robber's sort of mask. Looks like I'm holding up a bank.
Give generously, friends. Clell, get the horses.
You can pull that up should you ever want to put the mask on, but given that the train is empty, I certainly don't feel the need. 1 hour train journey, still grey. The weather looks still ominous. It'd be nice to get a bit of seaside fresh air. Well, a fairly easy train journey. It was me and one other person in the train carriage. And here I am, slightly grey, blue patches in the sky. Gonna go check out Shoreham-on-Sea. Or Shoreham-by-Sea, as we should say. One thing you always find when you walk out of a train station, the area around a train station isn't that interesting, so we have to always head into the centre. You can already smell the sea air. The seagulls are making their noises. You can tell you're by the coast. Shoreham-by-Sea is a town in the South Downs. It's about 1 hour outside London, coming from Clapham Junction, which is what I just did. And the town was established back in the 11th century by the Norman conquerors. With a population of just over 20,500 people, it's not a big place. However, it is frequently visited by visitors from the surrounding area.
Have you got any
See, things are only really just starting to open up because of this whole COVID thing. So not everything is open, but that looks pretty good, doesn't it? Wow. Decent. Antique shops. Looks like I found the centre. The St Mary de Hora Church, just to my right, was built in the decade following 1103. The Domesday Book was dated 1086, and around this time the town was laid on a grid pattern that in essence survives in the town centre that we see today. The church that we see today is only half the size of the original. The former nave was actually ruined at the time of the Civil War. Some remnants do remain, but very little does. Nice church. I can see the sea down this way, I think. I'm here. I've obviously got to head across the sort of estuary area and then head down towards the beach to sort of see the coast, but obviously I've just come in here, kind of centre. There is a fair big... Brighton would be this way, so obviously there's a lot to see in this sort of way. The rapid growth of the neighbouring towns of Brighton and Hove and Worthing, and in particular the arrival of the railway in 1840, prepared the way for the Shoreham's rise as a Victorian seaport. With several shipyards and an acting coasting trade, Shoreham Harbour remains in commercial operation to this day. The annoying thing about this COVID, everyone has to effectively stand in line outside every shop. It's kind of frustrating now. Most British seaside towns are generally populated by retirees. So a very old contingent generally populates these seaside towns. It's a very sleepy atmosphere, but usually very safe. The because of COVID and because it's a weekday, not much is going on. Pubs seem to be shut still. Not all of them, but some of them are. Shoreham Beach, to the south of the town, consists of shingle deposited over a millennia, and geography teachers will love this. It's something I studied for years, but all of these stones landed on the beach through longshore drift. Although originally this beach wasn't part of Shoreham, it became Shoreham-by-Sea in 1910. Much of the housing that you see between Shoreham and on the coastal side was cleared during the Second World War. Reason being, there was a high risk of invasion from the Nazis, and coastal defences were put up in this area, so pretty much all of the housing that you see on the coastal side of Shoreham is post Second World War, and some of it sadly was put up by the council with little consideration for the aesthetics of the area. However, as money has poured into the area in recent years, the aesthetics are slowly changing. So this is Shoreham-on-Sea beach. Very sparsely populated, very busy sometimes, but obviously COVID and it's a bit of a miserable day. Plus it's a weekday, makes the beach a little bit empty, but wonderful little beach. Lots of stones you can be throwing in the water. Dogs love it. There's a lot of dogs on the beach actually. There's another dog over here, but it's really quite nice. There's an airport just over here, so I keep seeing these little airplanes coming into land, and people have their sort of beach houses and normal houses around here, so it's a nice little area. I mean, not the most glamorous of places, but it's actually really nice, and on a windier day you get kite surfing down here, but today, despite the wind on the microphone, it's not that windy, so yeah, enjoy the beach. I'm not really kitted out to going in, but it's reasonably clear water in it. You probably can't see out there, but there's a lot of wind turbines over there. So you get these nice little walkways in just heading along the sand, top of the sand. Well, not sand actually, it's stones. Walk all the way to Brighton. So you get to Hove and then Brighton, but I'm walking in the opposite direction. I'm walking west as opposed to east, and it's a rather windy day, but it's rather nice around here. I have to admit, some of the houses aren't that amazing. I think some of these are council houses, but it's a very nice little area, I think. Basically, it's a sort of nice place to come. You need to clear your head and take in seagulls, take in life, really. I mean, it's not going to win any awards when it comes to picturesque, but it's nice. When local residents aren't on the beach kite surfing, they can be found watching their local football club, Shoreham FC. And I think when COVID ends, eventually there's also a local rugby club. I am pretty much here, just a few random souls. But I can imagine on a sunny day this is very nice. I've never been here before. I haven't seen any of this before. So this is all new to me. No.
Yeah. Where? Oh, there is.
Amazing scenery. Cup of tea. Cup of Earl Grey. I hear the best time to visit Shoreham is on the 2nd and 4th Saturdays of the month. Apparently the local farmers and artisan markets visit the area on the 2nd and 4th Saturdays of the month, bringing a little bit of life into the area. I have to admit, as the day has sort of moved along, the weather's got nicer. There's a few breaks in the clouds, and this part of the beach is incredibly nice. We've got beach huts that I've looked online. Apparently they cost £8,000, which is about $10,000 for a beach hut. So people come down here and they put their beach towels and deck chairs out, and some people do a bit of fishing. I think there's a rock pool over here, so I'm going to go check that out. But very calm, very nice day. Peaceful. And down there, that's Brighton that way. So yeah, not a little bad little area, and blue skies.
Shoreham was a rather heady place in the 1920s. Glamorous London actors spent their summers here, a ready-made cast of lovies for the Progress Film Company.
So I didn't make it to the rock pool, there wasn't one, but now heading back. Sparse, I think that's a good way to describe the area, but a great way to sort of clear one's mind. I think that's probably a great reason to come this direction. 1 hour on the train from London, not too bad really. So I've been away from this area so long. If you remember from probably 5 minutes ago in the video, all the water was up here. Now the tide's gone out. It's almost probably time to head back to London, but just checking out the difference in tide. All these boats were floating earlier. Before I headed back to London, I couldn't leave the coast without getting a traditional fish and chips supper. So with some people that I knew and just recently met that day, I decided to have fish and chips. And I have to say, the fish and chips in Shoreham is very, very good, and it goes down very well with a bit of white wine or even a beer. I highly recommend it. Take in the sea air, good bit of fish and chips, mushy peas of course, salt and vinegar on the fish and chips, and you will leave Shoreham being very, very satisfied. So that was Shoreham-by-Sea. I'm heading back now because the last train is at 10 o'clock. Met some locals, had a few beers. Fish and chips was amazing. Only problem is, am I gonna make the train? Hopefully I am. I don't think much is open during the COVID lockdown, but heading back to the train, good times.